Hi, I'm Rigger. This is your ride, and welcome back to reviewing the Path of the Avatar. No wasting time today, so quickly. Be sure to like the video if you like it, share it if you think others would like it, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe if you want to see more. I thoroughly enjoyed our last episode, so I'm hoping this one continues the streak. Will it? Let's find out. So I'll see you on the other side. Alright, that was interesting. Can I say, there is so much death in this episode? So many people die. Just a staggering amount of people are dead. We'll do a quick plot rundown. Basically, they're heading to the Northern Air Temple, stopping in on the way, which, like all the other Airbender temples, is, dead and, empty. So they head there and hear stories of people walking on air and airbenders and people flying, and they, maybe we'll find some airbenders, or probably not. These are weird stories, where are these coming from? And they get there and find the temple is inhabited, but it's inhabited by refugees who have built gliders and, flying machines, taking inspiration from the temple they're at. Their main sort of contact that they run into is a boy named Teo, who they meet gliding. And Aang is sort of put off by them because they're, gliding and flying, but they don't have the spirit of airbenders, and he's sort of a bit grouchy about the whole thing. And landing and going through the temple, he has similar feelings because it's all become very industrial. There's murals that have pipes going through them, and just, the temple is being pretty wrecked. He goes to see a sacred statue, and it explodes as they're demolishing it to make room for what they need to build. And he's incredibly offended by all of this. And he confronts Teo's father, who is the one running the settlement, and he explains that they were refugees who just found this place and started trying to live here and developed all these contraptions and, like I said, took inspiration from where they were. And now they're just trying to live here. And he's sort of running the whole thing. He's an engineer. And, Aang is still quite offended by this whole thing. And Teo reveals to him that there is one of those sealed chambers, one of those chambers you can only open via your specific type of bending that we've seen a couple times now. Remarking to Aang that, this hasn't been opened, so whatever's on the other side of there is, should still be intact if you want to see it. And Aang has the opposite reaction of, actually, I'd rather leave it untouched if it is, pristine in there. And he completely understands. Teo's quite an understanding dude. And they head back out, and, Katara gets the hang of gliding, taking notes from Teo and Aang. And Aang comes around to them, saying, they do sort of have the spirit. They're not airbenders, but they do have the respect for the air, and they do have the feeling and the freedom. And, he comes around to the idea, so he decides, I will open the door. And Teo's quite happy because he's always wanted to see what's on the other side. Meanwhile, Sokka's actually proving his worth as he's trying to help the inventor father, run things. And, just helping it with chores and tasks. And Sokka's coming up with some good solutions to things. He's showing some potential for this type of thinking. And one of those things he finds out is that there is natural gas under the temple. And it's very dangerous, and it seeps out, and it's, odorless and colorless, and they have no way to detect it, and it could explode any moment if it hits a flame. So that's real dangerous. And in his office, they even come up with the sort of solution we use today, which is adding a scent to gas to try and detect it if there's a leak. So they say rotting eggs, which is pretty much what we use, the scent that we use in the real world. That horrible rotting smell that you can't ignore. And if they add that to the chamber where the natural gas leaks from, they'll know if there's any leaks because they'll smell it. And as they're discussing this, Aang opens the door, the airbending locked door, and reveals a giant Fire Nation insignia that's part of a air balloon and an entire workshop of very spiky, mean-looking things. This, of course, brings to light that in order to survive, the father has a deal with the Fire Nation where he uses his engineering skills to build them weapons and contraptions and all sorts of siege weaponry and things like that. All the things the Fire Nation would want. And obviously, this doesn't go down well, but Aang, stands his ground, and a Fire Nation leader is coming right now to, like a general or something, to check on, or to pick up their next order of stuff. And Aang does not hide, confronts, and sends the guy packing, which, of course, says, well, he's gonna invade now. And Aang wants to protect the temple, and the others want to help, obviously. And there's all these innocent people here, and the father says he wants to help too. Like, he's not a bad guy, he just didn't have a choice. He had to cut a deal. So, they go to defend the temple, and they say, well, we have air superiority here. We can take over the skies. That's a huge advantage for us. So, constructing bombs and other sort of, some non-lethal weaponry, but it's pretty lethal, like stink bombs and slime bombs and things like that. They start doing bombing runs on the invading force that is heading up the mountain. And that quickly escalates into war machines that are like four-wheeled spiked tanks that can be flipped and basically used in any direction, because they have counterbalancing systems that allow them to, rotate any direction, so you can't just flip one away. And they work through not only like snowy terrain, but they can climb walls too using a grappling system. Very advanced machines. The team have to creatively find ways to destroy them, which ends up being that water is used in their counterbalancing system because the father made them, and Katara manipulates that fact and the snow around them to start incapacitating them, and Aang blows them back and away. And huge amount of bombs are dropped, especially slime bombs, onto the foot soldiers. They slip and slide and fall. Aang uses the snow to create an avalanche type effect that definitely kills hundreds of people. And they take out the war balloon, the big air balloon that he was trying to work on. You see him working on it a few times, but he can't get it right. And Sokka helps him solve the solution. So they take it out, and they drop huge slime bombs, but it's not enough. There's still people coming. And then from the air, they smell the rotting egg smell, and they see a trench that must lead to the natural gas. So they drop their fuel supply down there, and an almighty explosion goes off that probably kills, thousands? I don't know how many were there, but the episode ends with them being like, yay, they're retreating, and there's like 10 dudes you see walking away. They killed so many people, and it's amazing the building was still standing, and that most of the people there didn't die either. So we used a bit of cartoon physics, honestly, because so many people should have died. Anyway, Aang rescues the father and Sokka from the balloon. Everyone's, it's all good. Head back to the temple. And Aang uses a hermit crab as an example of why he's okay with this. That, it was an empty shell of a home, but you've moved in, made it your own, and it's helping life. So, you know what, this is okay. They then once again talk about, air superiority and how, controlling the skies is so important. Cut to ominous shot where they recovered, the Fire Nation has recovered the crashed balloon, meaning they will very soon have that technology too. So now we're out of just the plot recap. What do I think of the episode? I think it's quite interesting. I really like, exploring the whole faith and respect versus industrialism, and nature versus industrialism, but also looking at it not just industrialism bad. These people need to live, and they are living, and they're making great things. So, there is progress, and they talk about it. Sometimes progress sort of blinds you to what's to nature and what going too far is, and that, but also how great, industrialism and technology can be, and how much it can help, not just in combat, but in everything. And they actually really subtly showed off, in a way that kids might not pick up on. One of them being that the guy is missing 3 fingers, and he throws his 3 replacement fingers to Sokka to sort of freak him out in a joke. But he's saying that he came up with, something to protect your hands, because he learned from his mistakes. It only took him 3 tries to get it right, get it 3 fingers. And he's made replacement fingers that seem to work and assist his life. And his son is in equivalent of a wheelchair. And you get the idea that not just are these, they fly around and that's fun, but he found a new way for his son to have freedom and, experience something that no one else can, despite the fact he doesn't have the use of his legs. And, you see how much he loves it, too. And you see all these people around them who probably should be dead, but they're living because of the tech here. You see him working on the gas problem, and despite the war machines being bad, you see that he used them to help them survive. And you see the incredible war machines he came up with that, while destructive, are incredible, like those tank systems. So I really like that there's subtle additions to just, industrialism bad. No, it's actually really good as well, and it's helped in a lot of ways here. And not all of them are just combat. And I also like that we don't villainize the father too much. He's not seen as the best guy, but you understand his circumstances, and it's quite cool that they sort of forgive him, because what else are you gonna do? He said, we'd be dead. What are your options? And it's fair. What would you do stuck in a situation? You would use whatever you could to survive, and what he had was his skills in tech, and the Fire Nation put them to use. And I will say also, I really liked how they treated the fact that Teo, is in a wheelchair, because you pick up on it if you're paying attention. When he's flying, you think, oh, it's just a flying contraption, but you realize the others are just on hang gliding style, but he has a chair, and then he lands, and some people come and take the wing part off the top, and he remains in the chair, and he rolls up to the team, and no one mentions it. They just sort of look at him, and they smile, and they say hi, and they just go inside. It's not brought up until way later, and it's just when the father explains the situation they're in and how they got here, and just that he got injured when he was little. They don't make a big deal of it, which is fantastic for children's television, it's normalized. No one comments on it, no one says, hey, what's this thing you're in, or, that's weird, or whatever. He rolls up to them, they smile and say hello, like people, because they're just people. So that's really great to see. I almost wish I didn't bring it up at all, saying, oh, he got injured when he was little. I always wish I just didn't mention it. But still, the fact that it's only mentioned offhand once, and it's not a plot point, it's just part of the world they're in. That's great. There's more big wins here. That Sokka gets some more time to shine, and I'm past the point where he needs time to shine, because he gets time to shine all the time because he's great. But more look how smart this guy is. He solves some legit engineering problems, which speaks to sometimes you need just someone else's thoughts. You can't do everything on your own, no matter how smart you are. Sometimes it takes someone else to walk in with fresh eyes. But also, he comes up with inventive solutions and helps. He solves how to make the air balloon work. He helps figure out the natural gas problem. And he saves the day in the end by remembering the natural gas problem and making what could be a sacrifice. They could have crashed that balloon and still be in it. They only got luckily rescued. He's a warrior, and he's intelligent, and he has problem solving, and he more and more and more is one of the cores of this team. And literally all of them do their thing this episode, Aang does a massive amount of damage with his avalanche and making use of his airbending to hold things back. Katara uses the snow and, like I said, the counterbalancing system and her waterbending to stop one of the biggest threats on the battlefield. And Sokka helps come up with all of these solutions on the mechanical side. So, excellent stuff. Because the worst thing you can do is put together a team of characters, and for episodes, one character doesn't have anything to do. You put them in situations and one of them's just sort of doing general basic stuff, or nothing, because you couldn't figure one out. But no, we use all our characters. It's great. Appa was great this episode too. He stopped some tanks and provided air support. I thought he was going to get seriously hurt at one point when he's floating over a cloud cover and the spears, the grappling hooks are fired up through it. He nearly gets stabbed a lot. That was scary, especially since they started murdering people. I still can't get over it. I know it's a kid show, and they're retreating. No, they killed so many people, and were very irresponsible. And I wish Aang, again, just like the last episode, I wish he was criticized for his choices a bit more. That, you wanted to, being mad about defacing the temple. Okay, that's fair. But jumping out at the Fire Nation leader, making problems for all these people, putting all these people in battle, in the end it's all good, move on. Kinda wish he got scolded more for that decision. And, like I said, no, we don't really villainize the father. But we also don't villainize Aang, and I feel like we should a little bit. his snap judgment there, making a decision for all those people. I don't care if you're the Avatar or not. These people trying to live and survive, and you nearly had them all invaded by the Fire Nation, and you would have lost your temple too, that you care so much about, because they would have burned the whole thing down. So, I don't know. I feel like that was a missed opportunity where they would have gone, hey, like, Numbskull, don't do that, maybe think it through next time. But, I don't know. That's the only one that sort of got me. Again, my problem with episodes comes from Aang. Again, I don't hate him, but he's consistently the one where I'm like, someone give him a slap sometimes. But, overall, fantastic episode. I love the way they dealt with the industrialism stuff. They still respected the religious side. Well, the only other answer we didn't get is how did they get into the airbending room? I'm assuming they just went through a wall somewhere, because they weren't caring and they had time. But we don't actually have it explained. Like, they open the airbending lock and there's all the workshop in there. And, again, you can just come through a wall from a different direction or something with time. But, still, they didn't actually explain that. I guess we just meant to assume. But otherwise, pretty good. And, yeah, can't wait to see you next time. But until then, my name is Rigger. Hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope I did alright.